Attention, due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 56 of the Civil Gore podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we survived. We survived the British Columbia wilderness, Tim. We did not get eaten by a Sasquatch.
Oh, what a trek it was, too.
Yes, it was an arduous 1 hour and 45 minutes of
filled with stereotypes.
Yes, we'll get to that obviously when we go through the movie. But I'm glad we watched it because I had seen it years ago, and Tim, I guess you haven't seen it, right? But you enjoyed it.
I had not seen it. Oh my gosh, it was a Tim movie from start to finish. In fact, I texted Brian like 2 minutes into the movie. I was like, "Oh my god, this is the most Tim movie ever!" Yeah. So I'm very excited to talk about Sasquatch from 1976. But before we do that, let's get into our first chop. All right, Brian, so the backlog project continues apace. I'm still digging through that Thing disc. Oh my god, there's got to be 6 or 7 hours of extras on that bonus disc.
That sounds like it's a backlog in itself.
It is. I have made no progress because I'm just slogging my way through that disc. I say slog. I mean, it's all great content, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot of content about one movie. But anyway, I did find some time to watch a few other films this week.
Nice.
And I've got a very special new project I'm going to tell you about coming up a little later on in the rundown.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't even know what this is yet, so I'm
No,
excited.
This is a surprise. I'm going to drop it live on the air.
This is exciting.
But the first one up was a documentary. This one came out a couple of years ago, and it is called Beware the Slenderman. This was on HBO. Brian, have you seen this one?
No, but see, now I get confused because I know the Slenderman is an app and a game, but you had said last week, I think, when we were talking about the movie, that it's not that, right? The Slenderman, the real story of the Slenderman has nothing to do with the app, right?
Right. The Slenderman, Boogeyman, or whatever you want to call it, came out of the Creepypasta site where they do those scary stories that kind of spread over the internet. So, and Slenderman came out of a Photoshop contest of all things, where he was kind of Photoshopped in the background, and then this whole mythology sprung up, and it kind of went viral. And that's what spawned the games and the books and all that kind of stuff. But Beware the Slenderman is about the stabbing case that happened. It was two 12-year-old girls. I don't remember if they were even 12 at the time, that stabbed another girl almost to death. Fortunately, she survived, thank God. But they stabbed her in the name of Slenderman. They were trying to impress Slenderman. So there was definitely some breaks from reality with these two girls, and the documentary is really good. It's about the crime that happened. It has police interviews from the interrogations of the girls. Let me tell you, man, this one's kind of disturbing because it was such a random. It really wasn't a random attack. It was a planned attack, but it was just so random that, you might send your daughter over for a sleepover, and then her best friends decided to just stab her to death.
But so now, when you say in the name of Slenderman, was that like something about his mythology that he told people to do stuff, or? Well,
one of the girls, and they were kind of, feeding off each other in terms of hyping each other up to do this, but they believed that they needed to kill someone to both impress Slenderman and to prevent him from killing their families. And there was this thought that if they killed somebody, that they would go live in Slenderman's mansion. And one girl was trying to prove to everybody that this was real. And by killing this girl, they thought she would go live in the mansion and prove everybody wrong that said it was fake. I mean, it was a very bad break from reality.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did they find out that these girls were deranged or beforehand or something, and this was just the trigger or something? I mean,
yeah. Well, one of the girls was schizophrenic.
Oh, okay.
Come to find out, and had a family history of it. Of course, never. Obviously, they did not realize to this degree.
Right. Yeah. Who does?
But it's a very sad story because these kids were so young, and let me tell you, and I won't give away what happens to them, but there was no winners in this. Everybody lost a child in this because the two girls that committed the crime, obviously their parents lost them, and the girl that was stabbed, even though she survived, still carries the mental scars from it.
I can imagine. I mean, how do you trust somebody after that?
Yeah, when you see these kids, and it just broke my heart having a daughter and watching them in this police station, these little kids, and realizing what they had done. And it's very disturbing to watch, but it's very very well done, and I would highly recommend it if you're a fan of like true crime and that kind of thing, and kind of shows you the power of the internet.
Now, did something happen? Like, I remember there was some controversy when they were talking about the movie, though, the actual movie that's coming out. Could it be because of this? I thought it was supposed to be out a while ago already.
Yeah, it actually was because of this crime. There was some fear of a Slender Man movie, maybe inspiring some other type of crime like this or a copycat.
So did it get pulled or something? Because
I don't know the status of it, but I do remember reading about that controversy.
Yeah, and I was at that point, I had not known. I just assumed, when I heard Slender Man, I just thought it was the app, because every time I'm scrolling through the app store, a lot of times I'll look through the games and I'll look for horror games, because horror games are fun, So, and I'm looking, and I keep seeing Slender Man, Return of Slender Man, like Son of Slender Man, with all these crazy things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what the heck is this thing? So I never really, I'm like, obviously I missed something huge here, and I don't want to jump in now to the middle of this, whatever it is. So, and then I heard there was a movie coming out, but then I heard there was controversy in the movie. So I just assumed it was all because of this app or something in the game. But it sounds like there was way more to this.
Yeah, we're really not the demographic, because it's very much a boogeyman type figure that I personally don't find scary at all, because it's just a guy with no face in a suit.
I don't know. Tall, skinny people scare me, though, like that. I'm telling you, it's weird.
Do I scare you, Brian?
Yeah, no, not you.
Although
well, you're not
skinny anymore.
that tall. But you know what I mean? I remember there was this Alien special on Fox one year, and I just say Fox because that's how I remember it. But it probably aired on a couple of, or actually, now that I say Fox, it may have been Channel 9. I don't remember. But anyway, I remember my brother and I watched it because someone had told me at work of how cool it was, and it was like, oh, and I missed it. But then they were airing it again a couple of months later, so I was like, oh, we got to watch this. I heard this really cool thing, and it was supposedly a real live recording of someone where aliens attacked their house. And I remember, and the one thing I remember stood out was that I guess at one point they took the video camera outside and they were looking where they heard and they saw these lights, and they saw these really tall, skinny things walking towards them. And I'm just like, what is it? I don't know, something. Whenever something's really tall and skinny and walking, it's creepy. I don't know what it is. That and little, we've discussed before, little kids in period clothing. It's like, well, why? It's like this exact opposite. But yeah, I don't know. It's but yeah. So I could see me getting freaked out by the thing, and I like how they went slender. That's a spookier word a little bit if you think about the Slender Man,
instead of skinny man.
Yeah, well, the Thin Man. If they said that, all I think of is a Jeff Goldblum movie from the 80s, so that wouldn't work. But so I guess maybe they went with slender, or But but I think they had to go skinny. I don't think the svelte guy. That wouldn't be scary either.
Or the morbidly obese man.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think they caught something with the name of it at least. But Slender Man.
The next one up was a little featurette on, not a featurette. It's supposed to be a series on Shudder.
Yeah, what happened though? They never came out with another episode.
Yeah, apparently this was the only episode, which is a shame because it was a really good show. It was called Primal Screen, and it was supposedly about what things in childhood scared us, right? So this particular episode was all about the trailer for the movie Magic, which is a great movie, which is one we're thinking about covering actually very soon. But the trailer for this one is absolutely horrifying. I had never seen the trailer until I saw this little episode.
Oh, yeah, with the head that turns. I mean, this was.
Oh my God! Yeah,
this was creepy, and it was. And when I had seen this a while ago, I think it was right when I got pretty soon after. I think I had subscribed to Shudder when I was looking for stuff, and I remember seeing this and watching it. It kind of pictured like that show. I don't know if you guys have seen the show, the Toys That Made Us, like that, but based on horror things. And it seems like this would have been the most amazing series. Like literally, I could see them just pulling new people in and telling their tales of what they saw first in a horror film or something.
The clown from Poltergeist, or
maybe we could be off. So don't quote us on this. Maybe there are other episodes or somewhere else. Maybe we're really late to this, and that was like the last episode. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I looked for other ones. I did not see any.
Yeah, but this was good, though. So. But I'll let Tim go through it because he just recently saw it. I had watched it a while ago, so.
Yeah, well, it's just about the filmmaker, and he's talking about, how this trailer basically scared him so bad, and talks about his love of ventriloquism. I mean, there's all kinds of little aspects of it, and the psychology of things that scare you as a child. It's really entertaining. I really enjoyed it. And for me, that would definitely be the Halloween 3 trailer. I don't know if you remember the one, Brian, where, and I looked it up on YouTube recently, where it's singing that Silver Shamrock song.
Oh, right.
And there's like a little dot in the middle of the screen, and it keeps spinning, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it finally is the skull, like the Silver Shamrock skull. Or maybe it's a witch. I can't remember. It's some scary face. But I remember it scared me so bad as a kid.
Yeah, we watched it. I remember we actually watched it. Well, you had me watch it when we were doing our first Slaycation.
That's right. Yep.
And I remember watching it. That was really, really creepy. I mean, it's funny when you think about it. I would love to do like a side episode of just like horror trailers, because some of them were just really cool. Some of them were... I mean, trailers in general are just fun. Like, I remember one of the coolest teasers I saw, and it was for a movie that came out, but completely changed the plot of the movie. And this was the teaser. I don't know if you remember this, for Alien 3. So I remember sitting in the theater, and this was back before the internet would spoil every single trailer, and you'd go to the movies, you don't know what you'd see. And I kind of miss those days, I have to say, because that was kind of fun when you go to the movies and you'd see a trailer and not know it was coming, you know? Mm-hmm. And I still remember this trailer for Alien 3 where it was just like, kind of zooming through space, and it was showing that like alien like egg from the, the first one that kind of like monta, but it was like slowly forming, I think. And it was just basically going... when did Aliens come out? 79, I think?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it was like, in 1979, you learn that in space, no one can hear you scream. And then it was like whatever year it came out in, in 1991 on Earth, everyone will hear you scream. And then it was Alien 3 coming next, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, they're coming to Earth. This is going to be the coolest thing ever. And then we got Alien 3. So,
yeah. And no.
Which, of course, was not anything like what that sounded like. But I guess we had to wait a little bit while we got Independence Day, which is kind of, I guess, what I expected from the teaser to Alien 3. But yeah, so I remember that. So it's kind of funny how certain trailers just stick with me. And I I remember some of the Friday the 13th ones were really good. And I remember when I freaked out when I first saw, there used to be this show on Friday night on one of the access channels I had on Cablevision years ago. And it was called Previews, and it was just a half-hour show of nothing but trailers. It was the coolest thing. And that's when I saw the Back to the Future trailer on that. I saw a Rocky 4 trailer. But I remember when they showed the Halloween 4 trailer, I almost fell off the couch. I was so excited because I thought the Halloween series was dead and buried at that point.
Yeah.
After Halloween 3. And when that came in and I saw that Michael Myers was coming back, I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. So it's like, so it's funny how trailers really stick with you. And especially that's why I thought this show had such promise. We got to find out what happened to it.
That would be a fun episode. We should do that for sure. Just a trailer episode. The last one up was Insidious: The Last Key, which I finally got around to seeing. Now, I did skip Insidious 3 for some reason.
Oh, you did skip it. Okay, see, that's why I was worried to watch this.
Yeah, I was going to do a double feature, but then I couldn't find Insidious 3 anywhere to stream. Because I found The Last Key at Redbox, so I just grabbed it.
Oh, okay.
All right, so this one continues the adventures of psychic Elise Rainier, played by the wonderful Lin Shaye. And it's very much an Insidious movie. These are becoming a little formulaic to me now. Not in terms of the plot so much, but in terms of just what I expect from the jump scares and things. So even though this one had a few great jump scares in it, they weren't like the ones that make me flip over the back of the couch. I kind of expected a lot of them.
So not a Tim jump scare.
Not a Tim jump scare. Now, if I had seen this in a theater, possibly, I probably would have jumped a lot more. But as it was, I saw these at home, so it wasn't quite as scary. But this was about Lin Shaye gets basically called back to her childhood home, kind of relives some of the traumas of her past, and she's there to help a man who's now living in her childhood home. And it's definitely got some freaky sequences and stuff in it. My only problem with the film is, and this is just a personality quirk for me, I love supernatural horror movies, I love ghost movies, that kind of thing. But whenever they start showing the ghost and interacting with them, it completely tears me out of the movie. If you just show a little kid in period clothes running across the doorway, I'm going to scream like a little girl. Okay, that's great. You show like a demon face pop up out of a window. Okay, that's great. But the first time like the ghost is like motioning, come with me, and you're like, I'm following her and I'm talking to her, and so like that just takes me out. It takes the illusion away, and I realize that that's just a person in makeup, so
yeah.
And this one had a little bit too much of that for me, so it was still good. I enjoyed it, but just for me personally, I'm kind of over between the Conjuring and the Insidious movies and the Annabelle movies. Like
Oh no, and the Nun didn't even come out yet.
The Nun hasn't come out, and I'm already kind of tired of this whole James Wan inspired theme. I don't know what they call it, theme, like mood or whatever. How these films tend to have that same kind of mood to them. I'm kind of ready for something a little different. So
Tim, would you say you saw one too many of these films?
That was pretty good. I'm not even going to fire you for that one. That was pretty good.
I thought so. I was impressed with that one. I was kind of keeping that one in the chamber there. I thought that was gonna be a good one.
So anyway, Insidious Last Key, definitely worth a rental. Got some great jump scares in it, but for me personally, I'm kind of over the whole formula. I'm ready to move on to something different.
Yeah, see, I have the whole series. I want to watch the 3 and 4, but Julie hasn't seen, as far as I know, the first 2. So I figure we'll do a marathon. This weekend, I was actually toying with it once you mentioned it, but I've realized with Infinity War coming out next week, I still had not seen Thor and Doctor Strange, so we caught up on those this weekend. That was our thing.
There is something I wanted to mention though about Lin Shaye, and she did a great interview. Like I said, I mentioned on one of our podcasts, she did a great interview on Shockwaves. But man, what a great character to have a more mature woman playing somebody who is like a badass against demonic entities. Like that's a cool premise. She's become very popular through the Insidious series.
Good for her, because I like, she's great.
Yeah, so she's become very popular, and I love this character.
Maybe they should have teamed her and Zelda Rubinstein up and get like maybe couple more, and then have that be like the new Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like this. Like I love the
like
idea.
Dark Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I love the idea of this. This older lady fighting like stuff that would terrify anybody, and she's just like standing toe to toe with them because of her, her gifts and stuff. I just love that character, and that's probably the main reason I enjoyed The Last Key as much as I did, was because it focuses so much on her.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to finishing this series because the first 2 I loved, so definitely want to see those.
Well, Brian, you saw a short on YouTube, Light as a Feather. I'm guessing this is a callback to the old childhood game, Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board.
Yes, which I didn't know that. I didn't know what it was. I did read the little synopsis where it described that. I guess, there was some game that, I don't know, maybe I'm too old. I don't know. They didn't.
No, I actually played this. I'll have a story about that.
Yeah, because I'm not sure what it was about, and the funny, this is what I love about was this, I know people have bad things about social media, but this is one of the good things. So I was just scrolling through, I always check to see if we have any new followers or anything cool. I get a lot of our First Chop stuff that we find out on there on social media. And so I had saw someone that just said, oh, we did our review of a short, Light as a Feather, and it was a short on YouTube from 2010, so it's old. I mean, oldish, I guess, right? I mean, 8 years ago already. Yeah. It's by a director by Lisa Dooley, and it basically, just a little synopsis. It sounds cool. It's and the tree was like something like sometimes ghost stories are real. So basically, it's the long story short, without obviously gonna go tell you the whole plot here. It's just. There's girls are having a sleepover, and I guess the host of the sleepover tells a story about how their house is. The grandmother used to tell the story about the house they're in is haunted, by these 2 sisters. And I guess supposedly the legend is that if you were the only one up between 1 and 2 a.m. in the morning, the spirits of the house come to take you. Ooh. So it's so it's about 5 or 6 girls are having the sleepover, and that's the premise, and that's all I'll give you. It's like 7 minutes long, really, really creepy. So it's definitely cool to see, and the whole Light as a Feather, that's how they start. They're playing that game, so that's where you get that name for it. But it's a really cool, it's really well done, and you know how I love my horror shorts. Yeah, so this is like to me this is like the caliber of the David Sandberg shorts, the guy that did Lights Out. It's like that level of good. So I definitely think you should check that out. It's on YouTube for free, so you can just Google it and you'll find it.
Yeah, we actually played this when I was younger. Time I remember playing it, we used to go to a lady that kept kids after school. She was ran a daycare out of her house, basically.
Okay. The way you said it sounded like ominous. Like
no,
kept kids
no, it wasn't
school.
ominous. She was a very nice lady. But so you had like a bunch of different kids like after school. Elementary school kids, and we got to just play in the yard or whatever. But we decided to do light as a feather, stiff as a board one time, and I think it was because her granddaughter was a little bit older, so she kind of taught us this. But
what is it? Like, what's the game?
So basically, the game is you have one person lay down, and then you have people surround her and put one finger under the person, him or her, just anywhere or just around their whole body. One under their head, one under their feet, one under their legs, and with just one finger. And then you're supposed to close your eyes and you say, light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. And then you start raising them up. And, if you want to get spooky about it, it's like the spirits are helping you lift her because nobody can lift somebody.
So like a Bloody Mary type of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. But the physics behind it is you have enough people lifting with one finger. You distribute the weight evenly enough that it's pretty easy to lift somebody, especially a kid,
Yeah.
Even when you're kids, it's you get enough kids together, it's pretty easy to lift somebody even with one finger, but it is spooky because it doesn't seem like it should be physically possible. And I remember we all closed our eyes and we started doing light as a feather, stiff as a board. And we got the girl or the boy, I can't remember, the kid that we were raising, we got them like above our head.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
When we opened our eyes, it freaked everybody out so much, like we all screamed and just like dropped them. From a height of like head high onto the floor.
And this kid now finally is walking without crutches. That's right. By the way. And
it is dangerous too. It can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice. It is a creepy. It's a creepy game, and especially if you played it at night, like a slumber party or something. I could see how that would definitely.
Well,
be terrifying.
and that's what's going on here. So imagine little kids in period clothes playing this.
Oh my God!
You got something.
Nope. I'm good.
Go. I just freaked him out. Oh, well, yeah, so check that out. Definitely check that short out. It's good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that one. That sounds good. We got some great Halloween news 2018.
Oh, my God. Didn't it seem like it just poured in like a span of like 48 hours?
I'm still a little iffy on the title, though. I don't know about just calling it Halloween 2018. I mean, it's just...
No, they said... Well, they already confirmed that it's not... Because at one point, the rumor was going around that it was literally going to be called H40.
Oh God!
Because that's what the test screening had listed it as. But that's obvious. They already confirmed that is not going to be the title. Universal and Blumhouse have confirmed it.
I know, but have they confirmed that Halloween is not the title either?
No, they haven't said that. But you know what? I'm like kind of torn because obviously, so we all know what we do know about it is that it's a direct sequel to the first one, right? Right. So, but to call it Halloween 2, that would make 3 Halloween 2s. So you can't do that. Yeah. You already have 2. And
you can't do Halloween because you'd have 3 Halloweens.
Exactly. So you got to have some sort. But Halloween 2018 to me sounds like a weird like when they used to do those weird baseball games with Future. It was like baseball 2018
or Dracula 2000.
Yeah, I don't like those years. They gotta have something.
Like I just want them to call it like Halloween : something. Like that, don't put a number on it.
That's what I want.
Yeah, just put like Halloween something. I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, and like I know someone wrote on there. They said they should call it it was just called Halloween the night he came home again. but I don't know what that's gonna be. I mean, but the thing is, here's the problem. With here's the thing. Who knows what title they actually have in mind for it? And sometimes imagine the title is Halloween, like Vengeance or something. Something like that could tip the plot a little bit, And I know, I told Tim, I was reading some stuff on it. I was finding out all this stuff, and all of a sudden I started reading this one article, and it was something, and it said mild spoilers ahead, but I didn't catch that right away. So the first line of the sentence was a spoiler for some people. Most people know it. I'm not even going to go into it just in case nobody knew about this, but it was something I already knew, so that wasn't that. But then I realized, I said, okay, if this is the kind of stuff it's going into, this could be dangerous territory. So I immediately texted Tim. I'm like, Tim, be careful. There's stuff out there now because people went to test screening and were posting minor spoilers. Now, granted, take everything with a test screener with a grain of salt because a lot of stuff changes from test screening. And also, I guess we should say that we'll never give away a spoiler for this movie on this show, because hopefully we're not going to know them ourselves.
Yeah,
but also
there's a lot of clickbait stuff out there right now, so just
right. And I was and I was going to mention that, like, there's a lot of rumors going around that the audiences were like hated it, but from what I read from more reliable sources than some of the other ones, it basically said that it was a very small percentage didn't like it. And a small percentage not liking a horror movie to me is like a rave review, because there's obviously a lot of people out there that are not horror fans, and of course they're not going to like a horror movie. And they may not have, I mean, it could be literally people that have gone in there not knowing what they're seeing, or they said, okay, I'm getting a free movie ticket, I'm going to go see it.
Or there's people that just like there's Star Wars fans, that you're never going to please them because it's not the original, so it's never going to be good.
And they have an idea of what it's Last Jedi all over again. It's like they have an idea of what it's going to be, and when it's not that, they take it as a personal attack and get all butthurt about it. It's ridiculous. And it's to me, that's silly. It's like, well, if you want to know it, then you already imagined it. Why go see it? Yeah. Literally, why go see it?
No, you go write it and you go direct it and make the movie.
Yeah, and you try and see how hard it is. It's like, but anyway, so a lot of good news came out. Well, the first thing I think was the hit that the poster got revealed.
Yeah, that was a cool poster.
Yeah, and they were showing people were freaking out because if you notice on the poster that it's already been hitting theaters. I already saw some people tweeting from theaters that had the poster up. So that's cool. So they'll probably be in our local theaters now already. They show that like the eye is like damaged, like from where Jamie Lee Curtis poked him with the hanger. You can tell that in the trailer. So they're like the attention to detail is because that's getting everyone all excited. How the mask looks really aged.
Yeah,
which looks
and it looks
cool.
good. It looks good. I will say, I'm very picky about my mask, as you know.
Yes, and we've not been secretive to which mask we like and dislike on this.
Right.
So that's really cool. And and of course we got some comments about the trailer that apparently it exists. It just we don't know when it's released. But Jamie Lee Curtis herself, I mean, you can't get better than that as a review of this, and she basically said that it's terrifying and the movie it goes full tilt boogeyman, to quote her,
but she's also a wimp, so I mean she doesn't like horror movies, so.
But the fact that she said full tilt boogeyman, she knows the genre, she knows the material very well, she knows what terms to use to get the fans excited, which is good. So, and then also some of the people in the test, a lot of test screenings said supposedly it's dark, brutal, and very graphic, which again, awesome.
Which that was the best part of Rob Zombie's Halloween, I thought.
Yeah.
The kills were so brutal. I love that aspect of it. So if they could do a legit John Carpenter Halloween movie with that kind of level of brutality would be.
And they did confirm it will be R-rated, so if anyone had any doubts or worries that it would be a PG-13, one of those type of deals, no, you are not getting that. You are getting a full, true R-rated stuff, which I can't imagine anyone actually thinking it was going to be PG-13.
Oh my God, no way. Yeah.
Can you imagine? That'd be like ridiculous. That wouldn't even make sense. But and then now they confirmed this over the weekend that John Carpenter scoring. I could have sworn we discussed this already that he was, unless they were just so sure he was going to that it came out as fact months ago.
Like, why would he not? If he gave this film his blessing, you can imagine he wouldn't come back for the score.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like he has to do much original tampering with the theme. I mean, it's probably one of the best horror themes ever released, next to The Exorcist. I mean, come on, it's like. So I think just maybe adding a little bit of modernization to it might be, But either way, it's pretty much perfect already. So I think, I mean, we can't be more excited for this. And actually, Tim and I were talking. So we wanted two things we want to do is one, when the trailer is released, we're both going to save because it'll probably come out like in the middle of the day or something. But we're going to save it and try and do one of those like those live reaction videos that people do all over. When a new trailer comes out. So we figured we're gonna do one of those for you guys. I think that'll be fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think we also want to do, like, as it gets closer, we'll do a full-on, like, preview of it, just a special show dedicated to the because, I mean, in terms of, I mean, I know it was a huge, release in the world of horror, but, I mean, I don't since we've been doing this podcast, this is by far the biggest event to happen. I mean, listen, we started, our first episode was Halloween, so we could even revisit the original of that one before this. And obviously Halloween, Tim and I have said it's always been one of our favorites, and it's what got us in some of the influence, what got us into horror.
We should go back and we'll do like George Lucas. We'll do our first episode special edition where we'll fix all the mistakes when we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah, we could, because I still cringe. That's one episode I'm like afraid to go back and listen to.
I won't go back and I have to date. I've not listened to it. I can't do it.
Yeah, because we realized, hey, we can edit.
Yeah. Oh my God, we don't have to perform this live.
Yeah, it was a little. I mean, first podcast or first episodes of podcasting is always difficult. Because you got to get used to it. Even though you're just kind of talking into your computer at this point, it's not going out there live. You sometimes, I guess, forget it. Maybe I don't know.
It's like talking. It feels to me like when we were doing our first episodes, it felt like I was talking into an answering machine.
Yeah.
For like an hour and a half. And I feel like somebody's judging me the entire time. And now it's more, obviously you get a lot more comfortable with it as time goes on. You do it every week. So.
Right. And you know what? At this point, we're like, you know what? We have our listeners. If we do, we do. We
don't.
We don't.
We amuse. Yeah, obviously we amuse ourselves.
Yeah, and we know we have some listeners out there, so it's it's fun.
Maybe this is a good time to bring up, Brian, that we have increased our listenership month over month since January. So we are on track for April to increase once again, which is like any good business. If you're making better profits month after month, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know what we're doing right, but obviously we're doing something right. So that's
we're not making money. That's one thing. But
no, but we never went into this.
No, we never went into it for the money.
We went in this to spend money.
That's right. Nobody ever went into podcasting for the money. I can guarantee you that.
No, whoever said they did, they obviously didn't know what podcasting really was. But,
no, yeah, it's a labor of love.
It is. It's fun, and we enjoy it. We get to and we just it's like Tim and I get to talk once a week about horror movies and our favorite stuff. So
it's awesome.
How could you beat that?
Well, we do have some sad news.
Yeah, I was gonna say, going from all this joy, now
all this joy, now we got some bad news. Ash versus the Evil Dead was canceled. Now the writing has been on the wall for this for a little bit of time. I think people were somewhat surprised that season 3 began, because there was even some talk back during season 2 that this was going to be canceled, and there was various reasons given. I think one reason being it was a very heavily pirated show. I don't know how much that affected this in reality, but to me, I'm sad about it because I really enjoyed the show. I just finished season 2, but at the same time, I'm like, how long can this go on, really? Yeah. I mean, it's an extended Evil Dead. I mean, I think it was fantastic that we even got 3 seasons of it, and they're spectacular. All the episodes are spectacular. So, yeah, I'm saddened that Bruce Campbell's officially like retiring Ash. But
see, that's the sad part. That's to me, is that there's no hope for it to come back.
Yeah, but that, as far as the show being canceled, it's a great show. But then again, it's like, it's such a unique thing that I don't know that. I mean, I don't ever see that going to like season 8 of Ash versus Evil Dead. I just don't. Yeah. It seems like it would just wear out its welcome. I'm kind of glad they're going out on top, in a weird way.
Yeah. And now I can finally catch up on it, because I was like, I think I was somewhere midway through first season. I may just now binge watch the whole thing right in a row.
Yeah, well, it's quick to watch because they're short episodes. So
yeah, and it's like it's funny. There was one on the other day. I was just watching a little clip of it, and I was like, wow, I gotta really get back into this series. How good this is, and of course now they take it away from me. But,
oh well. So on to my new project. I'm going to discuss this before I discuss the film, but.
Okay, because I thought by the title, I thought you were going into like farming or something.
No. So what Brian's referring to is I watched the film A Field in England, but we'll get to that in a second. The new project, I was thinking about the backlog project today, and I was like, you know what? I've gone like 2 or 3 weeks without a backlog project update because I'm bogged down in these extras, and most of the films I have left are not new films, they're just commentaries on films I've already talked about. So basically, for all intents and purposes, the backlog project is on life support right now. I'm going to finish it, but as far as a podcast topic, it's kind of dead, right? So I was like, I need a new project so that I can come to every first chop with some new update, right? And what I came up with was a project that should take me through October, if I've got my calculations correct. And what I decided to do was watch a horror movie beginning with each letter of the alphabet every week. until for 26 weeks, obviously.
Yeah.
And then see how that goes. And that just gives me an incentive to watch it. And I'm going to try my best to make it one that I've never seen before.
Okay.
That might be hard for Q.
I was gonna say I got bad news for you because you've already done Q
or X.
So where are you going from there?
Well, I've already seen X, the man with the X-ray eyes, which is one of my favorites.
Wait, but did you see Extro?
No, I could see Extra. You're right. Yeah,
there you go. See, look at that. That's what I'm here for.
So the film I chose, I just went into Shudder and I sorted by alphabet, and A Field in England came up. This is a movie that I've wanted to see for some time because the plot sounded so intriguing to me. It's about some soldiers in the English Civil War, and they end up getting captured by like an alchemist or some magical guy, and they are forced to find a treasure on this field in England, which was sound so weird for a horror movie. I was like, I gotta watch this. Like this just seems so interesting to me. Let me tell you, this is not interesting. This was, and I'm going to be harsh here, Brian. I don't like being harsh, but this film to me was a pretentious bore. I hated this movie. It's filmed.
Don't be harsh on it.
No, it's filmed in black and white, and I don't mind that. And I don't mind slow burn movies, and I don't mind artistic movies because I've covered many of them and I've loved many of them, and even ones that other people hated. But this movie was just, it played like a film school art project. The meandering plot, if you want to call it that, quote unquote, I have no clue what was going on in this movie. I sat there and watched it and still had zero clue what happened. It's full of these god awful slow motion shots of like these artistic scenes, and they just do it in slow motion, so it's even more artistic. And I'm like, just get over yourself. Apparently this director is popular among people because he's done some really good films. This one to me, I haven't seen any of his other work. This one to me was a total misfire. If his other work is anything like this, I'm avoiding it like the plague. But anyway, yeah, I just hated this movie. Like there's nothing redeeming about it whatsoever. It's not even really a horror movie at all.
Well, here I have some good news for you, Tim. So while you were going through the synopsis, I decided to look up, to being the good co-host that I am, I looked up horror movies that begin with Q. And what happened is I came upon a site called Hellhardcom, and it lists there's a thing there a section where every letter, and it lists all the movies with that letter. So obviously the first one was Q. But then there was Quarantine from 2008. There's Quarantine 2, The Terminal. Then there's some movie called Quarries. So it seems like you got a good choice. And then Quartermass, whatever that is, it looks like there's a series of, these are kind of older movies.
Yeah, I've seen, those are cool.
But there's Quartermass and The Pit.
Yep, mm-hmm.
So Quartermass is Queen Kong.
Oh my God, that sounds like a Tim movie right there.
Yeah, and here's another one that looks like a Tim movie. It's called Queen of Spades, The Dark Rite from 2015. And why I say it's a Tim movie is because of the director. Sviatoslav Podgajevsky. So it's one of those ones that we'd butcher if I didn't or do it already. So yeah, so there's that, and this Queen of the Damned. Forgot about that one.
Oh yeah.
Even though you probably saw that, but still. So you have other ones. Quicksilver Highway. So there's actually so there's not a lot, but so basically you might want to look at hellhorror.com and you can get like some good ideas there for them.
Oh, good job. Yep. So look
at that. Even like on the fly, Civil Gore is just
that's right.
On top of things.
Yeah, and if you guys want to suggest any upcoming letters or movies for me to cover,
letters, like here's a letter, like
here's a letter, Zazbot. I'm like, I've never heard of that letter.
If you come up with a new letter, definitely send us one.
It has to be a legitimate letter of the alphabet that I have not covered yet. Or if you have a film for it, just shoot me out. Especially X and Z, the hard letters. Let us know. And another big news: Stranger Things season 3 begins filming today.
Yes, and this has been a good couple of weeks with Stranger Things news between the announcement of Halloween Horror Nights and now that this is starting to film. I mean, and I know it seems silly because you knew it was coming out. But whenever something they announce is coming out, it's always exciting when they say they began filming because okay, it's real now.
Yeah.
It's like they're not taking it away quite yet.
Oh, by the way, go watch the bad lip reading of Stranger Things.
Oh, that's right. I never went to watch.
Yeah, they did an 18-minute episode of bad lip reading where they did it like a sitcom, like an 80s sitcom. It is so funny. Yeah, I had to turn it off at work because I was laughing too hard and I was looking weird. So.
Oh my goodness! I gotta check that out. Oh, and by the way, I also found your X movie for you.
Oh yeah,
it's a Hammer horror film, and it's X the Unknown from 1956.
Okay,
You've
cool.
Not seen it, and it's horror sci-fi. Oh my God, Tim, I totally forgot. You have the perfect X movie to watch. XX, that anthology. Remember?
Oh, that's right. I'll save that.
You
one
hadn't
for
seen that
yeah,
yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you haven't seen that. That was the one I watched. It was really, really good, and I think and it's on. I believe it's on Shudder or Prime right now too.
Yep, I've seen it. Yep. Okay. I mean, I've seen it on the available.
Yeah. So you're all right. Look at this. We got a couple of. Look at this. We're helping Tim along as his new. See how supportive we are in your new project, Tim.
And finally, we have our weekly dose of Friday the 13th game news.
Yeah, this one again is a little bit on the, I'd say, disappointing side, but who didn't see this coming? The way that the life of this game has had, but there's supposedly, remember, we've been talking about this new update. It's still going on. It's not that it got canceled. It's just it's not going to hit its April deadline, which I really didn't think it would. But apparently they already showed some footage of a comparison, which to me I couldn't tell the difference other than one. Like the new footage looked darker, which kind of made Jason look a little bit more menacing, which was kind of cool. But other than that, I couldn't tell. They showed it for PS4, Xbox One, and the PC, and they all looked just like the newer version looked darker. But I think the motion was a little fluid. But so supposedly this update, though, they're really working on good. They have the engine complete, so that part's done. The big part's done. It's now adding the little nuances.
All right. Well, we have quite a hefty discmemberment this week.
Yeah, we finally got there. Yeah. Wow. This is not a Ken episode, I'll tell you
right.
that.
So
this is a Cody.
Yeah.
I think that's our nicknames. Long episodes are Cody's.
Yeah.
Short episodes are Ken's.
So here we go. Our discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't call up.
Okay, these are the Blu-ray releases for May 1st, 2018. We're already in May. We're halfway to Halloween. And the first one up is Bloodhook from 1986. This is by Vinegar Syndrome.
Which, remember, I found that the Vinegar Syndrome supposedly has a retail store that I found in Connecticut. So I'm gonna actually have to visit that because we go there every so often. We're not. I think it wasn't too far from some of the areas we visit in Connecticut. So actually, I'm gonna make sure that I make that a stop next time. I already told Julie. I said when we're up there, we need to make a stop here.
Yeah.
Supposedly it's in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So and it looks like they have like just rows of old records and Blu-rays and DVDs, so basically something I'll get lost in for 2 hours and not come out of. So yeah, so I'll definitely report back when I make there. So sorry, I meant to put that actually in the first chop, but since that went long enough and it just blended right into this anyway, because it seemed like the first two are Vinegar Syndromes.
yeah, they have good representation this week. This one's directed by James Mallon, starring Mark Jacobs, Lisa Jane Todd, and Patrick Dans. So they tried to make the names as unamusing as possible.
I know. Whether they got tired of us making fun of them?
Really.
But I will say this. Just because they're trying so hard, I'm gonna find one anyway. When you see James Mallon, don't you think of like Back to School when like Rodney Dangerfield? Remember, you're a melon instead of melon. So we got that in there. That's about it. That's what we get today.
That's all we got, guys.
Yeah, that's all we got.
During a local fishing contest, people are being mysteriously dragged into the lake and killed by a giant fish hook. After a sufficient number of deaths, the killer is finally revealed.
Wait a minute.
After
It's during a fishing contest?
Yeah.
But they're mysteriously dragged by a fish hook?
Yeah, I was just like after a sufficient number of deaths, like
yeah. What's sufficient? I mean, what's sufficient? What do they count as sufficient? 5,
Sheriff,
6?
6 people have been dragged into the lake by a giant fish hook. Sorry, Barbara. Until we get to 7, there's nothing we can do.
Yes, 7 is sufficient.
So this one has a new 2K restoration, interviews, a still gallery, and a trailer. I've never heard of this movie, 1986.
No,
I'm about to track that one down.
It definitely sounds like right up our alley, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's got a good hook.
Tim, don't go fishing for compliments on that pun there.
That was bad. Okay. Next up is Blue Vengeance, 1989, another Vinegar Syndrome release. Oh, this one has some good names.
Yeah.
There you go, Brian. Directed by J. Christian Ingvordsen and Danny Kuchuk.
Yeah. That's an award-winning team.
Yeah. There's a lot of like double director movies this week for some reason. We always have these weird
Well, you know
trends.
why? They took away the AKAs from us. That's why.
That's right. This one stars Joe Ambrose, Tom Billett, and Paul Borges.
It's like Jason Voorhees, Paul Borges.
To me, it sounded like a deli meat.
That too, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Borghese. I don't know.
Borghese. I'll have salami, ham, turkey. Yeah, throw a little Borghese on there.
Yeah. Oh, and this description has one of your favorites when they give like the complete name of the characters.
Oh my God, great.
If you know what it means. You know?
All right. Considered too dangerous to be on the force, ex-cop Mickey McCardle is tormented by the brutal murder of his partner. When a serial killer begins to stalk the streets of New York, McCardle senses that the same man responsible for his partner's death is to blame. Obsessed by his suspicions, McCardle. I can't do it.
It's too many times.
McCardle must rise from the shambles of his life and take up a trail of revenge. You know what my problem is? This guy's considered too dangerous to be on the force, and his last name is McCardle.
I know, and I can picture him going, "Sir, what's your name?" Mickey McCardle. You know, it's like this high pitched voice saying it. Like, yeah, you're right.
You're a wise guy.
I know. He seems like a cartoon character. How can he be too dangerous with it? You're right. The name is bad.
It should be something like Mike Hatchett. Ex-cop Mike
like
Hatchett. Hatchet senses that the same man responsible. McCardle?
Well, they could have just easily tweaked it. Mickey McCarver. You know, that's even like better.
McCardle sounds like somebody works at the DMV.
It does, yeah. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's just they like, I'm sorry to Jay Christian Jorgensen and Danny Kuchak, but you were so close. Yeah,
so close.
Maybe you have to dub in the name in the remaster.
Yeah, well, they're like, where it's like they're completely wrong. Like, it's like, what's your name, son? Mickey McHatchet. And it's like a different,
yeah, like a deep voice,
it's like a totally different wrong voice.
Yeah,
or it's like a robot voice. It's like McCarver. Yeah,
I know, it's like the old like Stephen Hawking like voice. Yeah.
All right, so this comes with a new 2K restoration, 2 commentary tracks, and featurettes. So yeah.
One of the commentary tracks, by the way, spoiler alert, is me and Tim.
Yeah.
No, like,
oh my gosh. One of these days, Brian, we'll get on a real commentary track.
We will. Someone in Vinegar Syndrome will be looking and scrambling at the last minute, and Civil Gore will be there for them.
Now, this one, for some crazy reason, is my pick of the week. I didn't put it on here, but it's my pick of the week. And I don't know why. It's just I want to see this movie so bad.
Well, look, I mean, this is a classic.
It's going to be terrible. I know that, but I just want to see it so bad. This is Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell, released this year from Universal Studios, directed by Don Michael Paul, starring
just 3 random first names.
Yeah.
That's what they decided.
Starring Family Ties alumni
Yes.
Michael Gross, Jamie Kennedy.
Oh God, really? He had nothing else to do to come.
And Tanya Van Gran.
But wait, how many Tremors does this make? Is this like 7?
I have no idea.
Because they're one away from having to add The Rock into it.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to sit down and watch all of them. But this sequel finds Burt Gummer and his son Travis at a remote research station where they must go up against graboids that have been converted into living weapons. This has some featurettes on it, but all I can say is it's trigger worms in snow, which sounds so cool.
It does. I guess that's the cold day aspect of it.
Yeah.
I guess the cold. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the Tremors, just the series was kind of legendary. I remember seeing some of them. I don't know which ones I saw past the first 2, but I think I want to say they're up to at least. This is 5 or 6, right?
Yeah, I've seen the first 2. I've not seen any beyond that. So it's
and see, I remember there being Tremors 4, like that. But then I want to say one more came out after that. But I remember there was one that didn't have. I want to say maybe didn't have everybody the normal cast in it. Like it was one of those where they kind of skipped.
I feel like Michael Gross has been in a ton of them.
I think he was in all of them, but actually, because I remember that. Let's see, there's. Oh yeah, see, so there was Tremors 5 Bloodlines was the last one. So this is number 6. But Michael Gross, he's Burt Gummer, he's in it. So he's in all of them, yeah.
you're contractually obligated. If you get past 5 movies, you have to use the subtitle Bloodlines at some point.
Oh, and I apologize because Jamie Kennedy was in that one. I thought he just came in for this.
So this is a true sequel to one of the other bad sequels.
Yeah, so goes on. Oh, no, see, okay, well, here's the funny one. Okay, so Tremors 4, it was The Legend Begins. That was a prequel to the original one.
Okay.
And Jamie Kennedy was not in that one, but of course Michael Gross was. So he was in, I think he was in pretty much in all of them.
Next up is a big release. This is Winchester from 2018, Lionsgate Films, directed by the Spierig brothers, Michael and Peter. Not as famous as the notorious Wilson brothers, but they're getting
No, not even close.
No. Of course, starring Helen Mirren, our favorite Sarah Snook, who sounds like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yes.
But I'm sure is quite lovely in real life. Finn Scicluna O'Prey.
That I thought that was a typo. That's really was his name?
Finn Scicluna O'Prey is what it said on IMDb. So.
But wait, there was someone else in that movie that was, what's his face? Wasn't,
Yeah.
remember, I saw that. The main guy was Jason Clarke,
Well,
right?
I just get the top 3, so he didn't make
How
the
did
cut.
Jason Clarke not get the top 3?
He didn't make the cut.
Oh my God, he was 4. Wow. So actually, Finn Scicluna was that guy who I never even heard of.
He needs to get a better agent.
He really does.
They have ways of making those rankings on IMDb talk. I mean, you just got to
guess
who to slide the right money to.
At least Helen Mirren got hurt.
Yeah.
Just do and be first. But yes, I think I'll probably make this was probably my pick of the week just because I did see it and I was pleased with it. It was enjoyable and I'm a little disappointed at the actual edition of it though. It's just special features is one featurette.
Yeah.
I would have hoped to have like a cool documentary on the actual Winchester house and I mean, like I said, I've been there, so I've but that would have been.
They missed an opportunity for the features for sure. They're just trying to get this. There may be a special edition comes out later.
Well, that's the thing. I think if the movie did better, you would have gotten more.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that the movie really wasn't a box office success is probably with a nail in its coffin. No pun intended. It probably just.
Yeah.
You kind of lose they kind of with Blu-rays. I've noticed it's like it's. If the movie does bad and they just want to get it out there to grab any more money they can from it, you're lucky if you even get the featurettes, and the trailers and stuff. But
yeah, next one up, it gets even worse on the special features because I couldn't find any. But this one's called Desolation from 2017, released by Shout Factory, directed by Sam Patton, starring Toby Nichols, Jamie Page, and Alicia Oxy. Something Ochse.
Ochse. Yeah. I think we're good on either one of them.
God, thank God this show doesn't depend on us pronouncing names correctly.
Yeah.
A mother takes her son and her best friend on a trip into remote wilderness to scatter his father's ashes. They must confront their fears when a lone hiker begins following them.
Actually, that sounds kind of cool. I know. I was gonna say that's almost like a Hitcher type of thing. Yeah, I kind of like that premise. That's interesting. Kind of have that wilderness survival type of thing.
Yeah.
That might be interesting. Actually, I might have to keep an eye out for that.
The last one on our list is Cult by 2017, released by Cinedigm. It's by 2017. It was sponsored by the year 2017.
Yeah, sponsored by.
Released in 2017 by Cinedigm, directed by Dave Alsop and Alex Francis.
Oh, you're right. Another directing
it's like
team.
everywhere. Starring Clan Barry. I don't know if it's like a one guy or if it's like his whole family.
I know. Is it a group of people that like something like a Call of Duty little group there?
Ruben Crowe and Aaron Davis.
Is Ruben Crowe because they couldn't get Russell Crowe? They're like
that's his cousin.
It's like all I can get you is Ruben, my brother. That was the worst Russell Crowe impersonation ever. That was so off the cuff. It was not even. It was. Oh my God. That was terrible. That's probably my Ruben Crowe impersonation.
Exactly. That's Ruben. That was a spot on Ruben Crowe.
I take it back.
Spot on.
It was. I dare anyone to know who he is and tell me different.
Oh, the film tells the story of a journalist couple who invite a man and woman into their idyllic village home, but what begins with an informal interview descends into a nightmarish fight for survival. That sounds kind of cool, actually, too.
Okay.
So.
It's not a bad plot either. That's 2 in a row that I've never heard of. But actually, the synopsis it actually intrigued us. That's kind of one of my favorite parts of the Dismemberment, because I purposely don't read them ahead of time. I just kind of scan, but I don't really read much. I kind of like going through them and discovering something.
Yeah, it is kind of fun. I try not to, even when I'm copy pasting, I try not to read them too carefully when I do it, because I want to be surprised.
Yeah, because you probably have that urge to correct some of the grammar.
Well, you might be interested in our only theatrical release for this week. Is coming out limited.
I just saw the trailer to this, actually, a commercial for this, because Julie was watching all these ghost shows, and this came on during one of the things right before we started to record, actually. Looks really cool.
So this one's called Bad Samaritan, directed by Dean Devlin, starring David Tennant, Kerry Condon, and Robert Sheehan.
And Dean Devlin, has he done horror? I know he usually teams up with Roland Emmerich for Independence Day and Godzilla's and stuff, but I don't know if this is his first foray into horror here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, got a good cast there.
Kind of an interesting plot, if you think about it.
A pair of burglars stumble upon a woman being held captive in a home they intended to rob. That sounds just like Don't Look Now.
Yeah, and it's kind of also like that bad luck thing where you go rob you take a getaway car and you kidnap it and you forget, there's a kid in the backseat. You know, it's like that thing, that bad luck crime that you stumble upon where you get more than you bargained for. Kind of like, it's almost like those, almost kind of like the angle that the old Twilight Zones kind of thing maybe, or like those comics you like, the Vault of Heart, where it has you do something bad and you're gonna, you didn't really get your
comeuppance.
Yeah.
That was a very common theme.
Yeah, so that's what that kind of reminds me of. This might be another one to check out. The commercial I saw was very brief, but it looked good. And Julie even said to me, she goes, "Oh, look at this! What is this?" I said, "That's funny. I noticed that on Tim's rundown."
Nice.
So it's like, see, we have it backwards now. See, I saw it before and I mentioned the rundown. Now during the rundown, I mentioned the commercial. It is a circle. You see,
the circle of horror.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get to our main feature, Sasquatch.
Ooh. Yes.
The Legend of Bigfoot from 1976, directed by Ed Ragozino, starring George Loris, Steve Borgadine, and Jim Bradford.
Now, see, that's a name that would be in a Bigfoot
Jim Bradford,
movie.
yeah.
Jim Bradford.
Big
it's like
Jim
that Bill
Bradford.
Brasky. Remember that on Saturday Night Live with John Goodman? The Bill Brasky.
Bill
I
Brasky.
once saw Jim Bradford eat a Buick. It's like Jim Bradford bathes in soap made out of pure oil and salt. It's like that's what Jim Bradford is.
Scientists mount an expedition to find a Bigfoot-type creature. I don't know why they call it a Bigfoot-type creature. It is Bigfoot they're looking for. It's not a Bigfoot.
And they named him Bigfoot about 500 times.
Yeah, they named him Sasquatch, so they called him Bigfoot.
Yeah, they kept saying it. It's not like a type.
But it's called The Legend of Bigfoot.
Right. Yeah, and what was interesting, and that too, but it's like funny because we'll get into it a little more as we go through it, but it's such a unique style because it's like they have this like documentary feel, but it's not done in a true documentary style, if that makes sense. And they kind of have flashbacks to actual things that you've seen, like we'll get into it a little bit. I'll save it for them, but they go into like actual legends and have reenactments in it, as if it was like one of those Bigfoot shows. It was really
it reminded
unique.
me. It reminded me of In Search of, or
yes, and they did that. They actually, it's funny because I watched the In Search of. I found it on YouTube. I watched it on that episode, the famous Bigfoot one, where they actually reenacted that Mount St. Helens thing where the Bigfoot was throwing rocks on top of
I'm telling you,
the shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool how they did that.
So imagine this movie, just throw away every concept of a normal horror film you're thinking of. Imagine if they made a fake documentary that's not a mockumentary, because it's not making fun of documentaries. It's just trying to emulate a documentary style.
Right.
But playing it straight. But then you have the same kind of things that you would see in any like In Search of Bigfoot mystery documentary. Like you have the nature shots and you have the narrator talking over the top of it.
Had that narrator voice.
Yeah, and they have like the random stock footage of animals everywhere.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into in a minute.
Yeah, well, they had that one thing with the bobcat or whatever jumping down. Like that was like, it looked like someone like threw it.
They threw it. Yeah, it looked like they threw a bobcat corpse down there or something.
Yeah,
right?
like it was. I think it was already dead because I don't think they would have actually killed something for this movie.
But So anyway, basically it is exactly what it says. So this group of people get together to mount a Sasquatch expedition to go hunt this thing. They've got tranquilizer darts because they're just going to try and capture it or tag it.
And then and then try and track it, right? I think that was the whole thing, right? They wanted to keep track of it.
And they're going into the what was it, like the Oregon woods? Is this where this took place? Or was it
I think it was British Columbia.
No, British Columbia.
It was British Columbia, and it was and I guess they used the most archaic computer ever made.
Yeah.
But I guess at the time it was pretty much, pretty high tech, where they figured there was in this valley in British Columbia where all these scientists figured that if there were Bigfoot, that's where it had to be.
Yeah, because they could program all this stuff in, the computer would magically know where the Bigfoot would be.
And it sketched them.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was also where the Indians...
Right.
Played by the whitest guy ever to ever play an Indian. But
he really was.
But they consider this cursed land or land that they will not go near, which he would, but he didn't care. But
he didn't want to, kind of. Remember, he was as a kid, they would tell him that he shouldn't go there, and you could tell he was definitely a little afraid of going there.
Yeah. So they decided to mount. I mean, we're talking hundreds of miles into the woods.
Because what was it like? It was all summer and fall.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was a long thing.
Because they were talking about taking it weeks just to get to because they were going after some river. There's some river they were trying to get to. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, and then a valley. There was a certain they were heading to. It was it was right by the Dakota River. It was right past this one body of water that a lot of people didn't cross because, I guess. Of this.
But you have this narrator the whole time, we set out on the expedition, and knowing that we had 4 more weeks in the wilderness. And he's got this whole narrator voice going on. But here, I was writing down a checklist of things I saw in this movie that just delighted me on some level. So, and I'm going to just name them off here. Okay, so you got an old-timey mountain man with a donkey.
That guy was great.
I love any time you have an old prospector with a donkey is the best thing ever. And
he played pure grizzle, too.
Yeah, he was a pure grizzled. He had the gray beard. He had the hat, the prospector hat. He had the stubborn mule. He was great. You had the Native American god played by a totally white guy with blue eyes. I think he had blue eyes. I might be wrong on that point, but he should have had blue eyes. He was in the worst Indian wig ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Yeah, he was he was pretty bad. They didn't even try. They did not even try. I'm going to come back to the cook because the cook deserves special mention.
He gets his own thing.
Stock footage of dangerous animals. So, dude, there was more stock footage in this movie than a Disney nature film.
It really was.
Oh my god, there was so much stock footage. It was wonderful. But I would love when they were getting hunted by a bobcat or a mountain lion. I guess I don't know the difference. I think it was a mountain lion. It would surprise me because it would show you would see them looking for the wild mountain lion, and then you would see a stock footage of a mountain lion up in a tree that was obviously not of the same film. And then it would come back to them, and they're looking again, and they'll go back to the mountain lion running again, stock footage.
Well, it's funny you said Disney, and I'll bring this point up, but when you said Disney nature film, this is probably the only time Civil Gore will be reviewing a G-rated movie. This was rated
really?
G.
Wow.
Yes, it was rated G, and and the funny thing is, for a kid, this would be terrifying at some spots.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's really very slight amount of blood, I guess, with the bobcat. So you don't see a lot, but I guess they just, back then, obviously the rating system was much, much lighter than it is now. You could see a PG movie and you'd see full frontal nudity, back when I was in the 70s, So, nowadays, I think this probably would have been PG.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is G. This is probably, I can't imagine us ever coming into a Civil Gore review of a G-rated movie. We complain about the PG-13 horror movies, and here we go
and
with
we're loving
G-rated.
This. But what I was getting back about the stock footage, you would go back and forth between, the actors and the stock footage, and then all of a sudden you would see, the real mountain lion, the guy wrestling it or something. And I'm like, well, why didn't they just... my God, they got a freaking mountain lion actually wrestling the guy. Why didn't they use that footage to show him running around instead of this crappy stock footage stuff?
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
It was interesting, but
and then the great going back to the stock footage, like whenever they showed like a raccoon or something, they always had the whimsical music, like to show you that the animal's supposed to be cute, like if it was an otter. So it's like whenever you have all this Bigfoot music, like da 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 da, going through the expedition, but then you'd see a raccoon and be like, burp, 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 and the raccoon's like trying to do his thing. Oh my God.
The score consisted of literally 2 songs. That and the Bigfoot song, which actually got lyrics towards the end.
Yes, and the whimsical music was used for the cook, which we'll get to in a second.
He shared his score with the animals, with the cute animals.
While I was watching this movie, I said, the only thing this movie is missing is a guy in a coonskin cap. And boy, they came through. There was a flashback thing where, because they do these flashbacks to stories of when Bigfoot was attacking or whatever, and there was a guy in a coonskin cap, and I was like, check, done. And then
Tim's checklist is complete.
There was a great, I love when looking for examples of when the ADR doesn't match, when they had to re-record the dialogue. There was one sequence where they fished the cook out of the river. And I swear, he's laying on the river. There's a clear...
He fished the cook out of the river.
They fished him out of the river.
That's what happened.
That is literally what happened. He's laying on the ground. There's a clear shot of his face. His mouth is not moving at all. And he's like, did somebody grab my hat?
Oh, yeah.
He did not even open his mouth. It was hilarious. But anyway, so going back to the cook. So every, Western trail movie has to have a humorous cook, right?
Yes.
And this one has, the typical... He literally wears the red long handles with the suspenders.
Oh, my God. It's like you could have got him out of, the Wild West show at any theme park,
Straight out of Central Casting. Straight. What was his name again? Who's the cook's name?
I'm gonna look it up. I'll look it up while you discuss this next part, and I'll try and get it.
Yeah. So you have this humorous cook, and of course he's the comic relief, as if this movie needed any more. That is always, they're always picking on his cooking, and oh my God, it's wonderful.
But he made good coffee.
He did make good coffee. If you're like me and you love seeing stereotypes brought to life on the screen. I'm talking about film stereotypes, not racial stereotypes. Film stereotypes.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Brought to life on the screen, and just see a classic example of a 70s movie that hits all the marks of what you would think of in a 70s movie. This one does, and it's literally about an hour and 20 minutes of these guys on an extended road trip, basically an expedition, peppered with animal encounters out of a nature documentary, and these flashbacks to Sasquatch, which is basically some very bad ape suits. Essentially, you never get a good look at it. It's usually in silhouette or in shadow.
One you got one, I think, face, right? You got one face.
Yeah,
look.
towards the I guess you do. And then you don't really get any really payoff until probably the last 10 minutes of the movie. It really goes a long time. It's almost like a real expedition would be. It's a lot of nothing. Until something caps it off at the very end. But God help me, for some reason, I love this movie. I don't know why, because nothing really happens in it. It's not like a horror movie in terms of they're constantly getting attacked or something stalking them. Really, none of that happens. They're just basically on this expedition. Just a bunch of comrades out in the woods, and their silly antics of their humorous cook, and stumbling upon raccoons. And,
by the way, Barney Snipe was the cook, and that's
great.
Jim Bradford. By the way,
oh
so
my
I
God,
was way off.
Jim Brad, yeah. Well, he's got a cool name, but
he does.
Well, that's great that his name is Barney. Yeah, the cook's name has to be Barney Snipe.
He does. He has to be Barney, and he's actually our 6 degrees decapitation link.
Well, that's even better. Yeah. So
he was great. And remember that you don't forget when they made him slide down the hill in the big pan in the snow for another comic relief
with otters. There was otters. That was the otter sequence where you have, oh my God, there's otters there. It's like burp, 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 burp,
yeah, burp. And then he comes flying down on his giant.
It's all
skillet. Yeah, it was but you're right though. There was something about this. If you describe this to somebody and then said you liked it, they say, "What's wrong with you?" But if you actually see it, there's something so enjoyable at this movie. I could watch it over and over again.
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Because it has nothing that we would associate with a great horror movie.
Nothing.
It's not scary at all. It's nothing happens, but yet for some reason, I don't know. I just like you know what? I think it feels like it feels like you're on this journey with these characters.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
You kind of want to sit around the campfire with the old prospector, and you kind of want to, hang out, drink some coffee, and pick on Barney, and encounter raccoons, and I don't know. That appeals to me at some level. I don't know.
Well, there's like that camping feel to it.
Yeah.
Like, if you like camping, that you get that. You really capture that, and the version I watched, I mean, it was choppy as can be. It was on Amazon Prime. And
oh
it
my
was
God,
like literally
yeah.
skipping.
Yeah, there was like lines in it, just like you were watching it in the theater. Like there was like
the
film quality was terrible.
But I have to tell you, that helped it to me. That made it feel even more like authentic.
Oh yeah, I love that aspect of it. I don't know. The other thing is, I'm not a big camper or hiker. Not that I don't enjoy it, but it's not something I do a lot of.
Well, considering the last time you were in a tent, you almost fared worse than Bigfoot.
Exactly, yeah.
You almost got attacked by
like something appeals to me. Like if I was gonna go on like this 200-mile trek into the woods, like I'd want to do it looking for Bigfoot. I'd want to have some goal. Right.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go on like the goat sucker, like one of those tours.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find anything, and they probably walk you through a thing that's like been walked through 1,000,000 times. So even if, let's say, you believe in the legend of Bigfoot, he wouldn't be standing there anymore because people would be annoyed with people walking through taking pictures.
Right.
So, so it's like, but that would be fun to me. Like actually, that thing, there's that place in Branson, the Bigfoot, where they take you on a little expedition where it's like, you go through wildlife, but you're on a truck. So I don't know much about it, if they like stage things to make it look like Bigfoot was there or whatever. But the theme is Bigfoot to everything at this little park thing. But
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to describe why I love this movie so much.
I think it hit your checklist. That's part.
Yes. Yeah. I could see like, I don't know, you have to have some like-minded people or else they would think you were completely bonkers. But I could see like putting this on at a party or something, like just having run in the background, because I just loved it. Like I kind of want to watch it again.
Well, you know what? Yeah, no, and you know what it is? I mean, yes, the characters are so stereotyped in that way of but I think that's what makes it fun, because it gives you, obviously we've said this 1,000,000 times, we're big theme park fans. This literally, like, all these characters could easily be in like a show at like Disneyland and Frontierland or Dollywood or Silver Dollar City.
Yeah.
Like it could, or like one of those things, like you could easily see this entire, like half this stuff played out in front of you, like as pure entertainment. And I think, whether it was intentional or unintentional, they seem to it just mixed it perfectly to be like this really enjoyable movie. And I'm kind of glad we finished our little cryptozoological month with this, because this was definitely my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that appeals to me is it reminds me a lot of my childhood. I mean, I grew up watching those Disney nature films. I grew up watching the In Search Of documentaries.
Oh, that show was my favorite.
And this just brings back to mind all that. I used to watch Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom, or what? Remember that? Like all those shows like that. And this has such that feel, that nostalgia was like in full force. So while I was watching this, I just had this big grin on my face, because it felt like watching TV back in the late 70s, early 80s when I was growing up. So maybe that's part of it too. It may not hit some other people, the younger people, the same way. It probably won't.
Yeah, you probably have to be around our age for it.
Yeah, you might have to be around our age for that nostalgia factor to kick in. Other people might think it's kind of dumb, but if you watched any of those old cryptozoological documentaries back in the day of Loch Ness Monster or Sasquatch or any of those, it nails that feeling to a T.
Yeah, this is something that I would love like a full on like special edition release of this. Although I can't imagine this is on anyone's radar to release that way. But I would totally buy this in a heartbeat if they came out with like a nice special edition on this.
Yeah,
and it's great because, and listen, like unlike the other topics of our cryptozoological month, we had literally 100 Bigfoot movies we could have picked.
Yeah,
there was a lot of them, and I mean we could have easily just done like a year worth of Bigfoot movies as a podcast. And it's funny too, I'm so upset because I just saw one of the there's some show, I guess, Hunting Bigfoot or something. It's called. It's a series. I guess they do. I don't know if it's a weekly series or anything, but they had an ad for it. And it's airing, I think, in like 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, I watched one of those. I don't remember if it's that particular one where it was like a contest.
No, this wasn't a contest.
Okay.
It wasn't that. It was just like one of those, like, typical hunt for Bigfoot.
Oh. They actually had one where it was like a reality show, and they did like who was the most scientific and who set up their camp the best, and then they would kick a group off. It was crazy, but it was like Bigfoot themed.
Yeah, and I think I know we didn't write it down here, and I know we usually kind of go into the actual legend behind the thing. I don't know if we need to on this. I think because everyone kind of knows.
Yeah, I was just about to say I know we usually go into like certain sightings and stuff, but for this one, I mean, this is the biggest cryptid in terms of like popularity, and I mean, there's still shows on Bigfoot out there now.
Yeah.
We talked about Loch Ness Monsters kind of waned in popularity. Bigfoot's still going strong. So, yeah, I don't think we need to go delve too deep. If you don't know who Bigfoot is, or if you haven't done any squatching, as the guys on Finding Bigfoot would say, you're free to go look that up on your own, because there's more content there than we can possibly cover.
I mean, literally, it would be like literally another 2 hours going through it if you really want to go. I mean, listen, you know what? Plain and simple, you can get your history. Go watch the In Search Of episode, watch the clip of the Patterson tape, and you're pretty much, you can get enough to go on, and you'll know, because there's been enough stuff on it.
Yep. So, Brian, you had a great beer pairing, which we knew you would for this week.
Yeah. But this one was probably easy. I mean, I decided to pick this one just because of the beer, actually the brewer. So it's by Sierra Nevada, obviously a California beer, and there's that. Not that it's in that. I don't think it's in that area where they, supposedly Bigfoot was in California. But either way, it's by Sierra Nevada, and it's their beer called Bigfoot, and it's a barley wine, and it's part of their high altitude series. So I wrote down that I copied the whole description from them, and because it was great. So it says, Bigfoot is a beast of a beer, brimming with bold flavors of bittersweet malt and heaps of aggressive whole cone, not Steve Cone, whole cone Pacific Northwest hops. First introduced in the winter of 1983, Bigfoot is a cult classic beer brewed in the barley wine style, meaning a strong, robust bruiser of a beer with the refined intensity of a wine. I personally love barley wines. Yeah. And so to me, it's like, you already sold me with that. But it says, Bigfoot is prized by beer collectors for its supreme cellarability. And that's cellar, Cellar.
I love that word. That's a great word.
Yeah. So it says, under the proper conditions, it can age like a fine wine, developing new flavors and character as it matures in the bottle. Each new release, or expedition, in quotes, which I like too, is vintage dated. Collect your own and see the flavors develop and progress. Nice. And just another added thing, it says it's 9.6%. Barley wines tend to kind of be up there. It uses Chinook, Cascade, and Centennial hops with 2-row pale and caramel malts. I believe I've had this before.
I think I have too.
And I think it's I remember being really enjoyable, but I'm kind of mad now that I didn't grab one and let it just sit for a long time, which I think if I see again, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I believe I've had this one too, and it's been a while. This was actually, when I had this, it would have been back before I really knew beer very well, so I probably didn't appreciate it. Yeah, I probably didn't appreciate it like I should have at the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I get a hold of it again, I'll make I'm gonna grab a couple. Maybe I'll just keep them away and open them up in 3 years or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let it really age.
That'd be nice. So in our 6 degrees of decapitation last week, we asked you to connect Zach Penn to Zach Galifianakis, and this one you could do in 2. Zach Penn was in PCU with Jon Favreau, and Jon Favreau was in G-Force with Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah. And actually, Jon Favreau was hilarious in PCU, by the way. Yeah. Especially when he couldn't get into the liquor store because he overslept, and they closed at 8 o'clock in Connecticut.
So this one, we're going to ask you to connect. This is kind of funny. So Jim Bradford, a.k.a. Barney Snipe. So Jim Bradford to Bradley Whitford.
Yeah, this was a doozy because none of these people in this movie were anyone that I even recognized remotely. So I had no clue. So I went with my little pun and wordplay type of thing. So that's what you got.
It's too bad there's no Bradley Jimfords, but
yeah, okay. I know. Believe me, don't laugh. I actually looked for someone close, like more close than that. But I figured Bradley Whitford was close enough. Bradford, Whitford, Brad. Yeah, there's 2 Brads in there, 2 Fords. Anyway, and you could do. Oh no, wait. We usually don't tell how many you can do it until next week, right?
We'll keep it secret.
Yeah, we'll keep it in secret. Yeah. It's easier than you would think, though. Although I doubt anyone will get this without looking, because I don't even hear of anybody in the connection to this thing.
So. Yeah, that's what's kind of crazy. We do not know what we're going to do next week. We are officially ending Cryptozoology Month.
Yes, I know some people are probably happy about that, but it was fun, though.
To us, too, because it does limit our selection of movies. We didn't realize in some cases, like Loch Ness, how limiting that would actually be.
Oh, my God. I really thought we would have, like, our pick. Like for those, I thought, I figured Chupacabra would be the hard one,
right?
And then what was the one we did after that? The first one was the Killer Rabbits one. That one just kind of fell into our lap. That one was pretty.
That one was fun.
Pretty easy. Yeah, that was a good one. The Chupacabra, but Loch Ness and Bigfoot, I figured would be the 2. Like the easiest ones, and really it was only Bigfoot was the easy one. And it's funny, as I was telling Tim yesterday, Loch Ness, the movie with like Ted Danson, happened to be on cable yesterday, so I could have actually watched that one if we decided to pick it. But I'm glad we picked what we did.
Yeah. So we've done 2 themes in a row. We did the March was of course the Irish horror thing. So I think we're going to take a month off of the theming because we're going to have our Slaycation starting here soon.
Yeah. So we kind of want to get a lot of variety in before we get into that, but so this will be a themeless theme.
Yeah, there you go.
What we do.
No theme.
We have a couple of ideas of some of the ones we want to do. We talked about doing magic at some point in there, and I was saying since May is my birthday month, maybe we do Happy Birthday to Me, which is another 80s horror slasher classic.
Yeah, and our download, we tend to get good downloads on more recognizable films, obviously, because people who know the films are more inclined to listen to the episode sometimes. So we'll probably try to get a bigger film in there somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm kind of looking forward to actually not knowing when we have a whole big, like an unbridled amount of choices, I guess,
Yeah, sometimes it works best when we kind of decide last minute, so.
Yeah, so we'll obviously, of course, as always, though, anyone that has a suggestion, though.
Throw it out, yeah.
Make sure you come out.
Yeah, speaking of which, you can get up with us on Twitter at Civil Gore Pod. You can look us up on Facebook at facebook.com, Civil Gore Podcast. Drop us a line at Gmail at civilgorepodcast@gmail.com. We really appreciate you guys. We don't say this enough. We appreciate you guys listening. We get, like I said, we're getting more downloads month after month. We really appreciate the guys out there listening because when it's me and Brian, we have no clue who's downloading this thing. We're just kind of talking into a microphone, sending it out on the internet, and hoping somebody's getting some enjoyment out of it without any feedback. We don't really know if you're listening or just kind of downloading it and then deleting it.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, I know it's because I know I'm hesitant to even do these on some of the podcasts I listen to otherwise. But obviously, if you have some time, you want to pop in a review, even if it's hey, Tim's great, Brian puns stink, anything, you just put them up there, just if you get a chance.
Yeah.
Or even if you tweet us, say hey, loved the last episode or something,
Yeah, it really. I think it's a big motivator, and whenever we get any kind of Twitter reply or like or anything, it's a big motivation to keep the podcast going. So we definitely like hearing from you guys.
Not that it's going anywhere, Cody. Calm down. It's okay.
No,
it's
not
still going strong.
Still going strong.
Come on, you can't even joke about that.
All right, guys. Well, enjoy your squatching this weekend.
Yes.
Go out there, find Bigfoot, bring him back, let the world know. Bring along your humorous cook. Watch out for raccoons. We'll see you next week.
And don't slide down too many long snow hills in a skillet.